welcome to the Finance 360-degree sessions in which we cover the relevant and important finance current affairs and the RBI notifications, the RBI press releases, the SEBI circulars which are very important from your exam perspective. And in today's session, we are going to discuss a very important press release, the notification that has been released by the Reserve Bank of India in regards to the changes in the NDS-OM. Okay, so NDS-OM is the electronic trading platform of the Reserve Bank of India. So what are the changes that has been told by the Reserve Bank of India in this NDS-OM, as well as what is this NDS-OM? Okay, it is a very important concept. This NDS, that is negotiated dealing system, this is very important from the exam perspective. Okay, so you must have the basic idea of the NDS as well as the NDS-OM. So today we are going to discuss this in detail so that you have the understanding of this NDS system. Okay, so when it was originated and what is this whole system, all of that we are going to discuss today. So good morning everyone, welcome to the session. And am I clearly audible and visible? Give me a thumbs up if everything is fine. And this is a very important notification of the Reserve Bank of India where the static knowledge will also be provided to you as well as current affairs also. Okay, so everything's fine. Give me a thumbs up. Good morning everyone. So now before starting with the topic, do subscribe to the YouTube channel of EduTap so that you continue getting these videos, and join our Telegram channel where you will get the PDF of the session. Okay, and so let's start with today's session. Okay, so the Reserve Bank of India has widened the direct access to its NDS-OM. Okay, so NDS, that is negotiated dealing system, OM, that is order matching. So this is a electronic trading platform of the Reserve Bank of India. Now what is it used for, so that we will understand. So let's first understand about the NDS-OM, then we will understand about the news article. Okay, so let's start with the negotiated dealing system. So before the NDS, what used to happen, that the government securities were traded manually. There was manual trade that was happening of the government securities. Government securities are the government securities, they are, or the government bonds, they are a financial instrument where the government is taking the money, where the government is asking for the money. Let's say government is asking for rupees 100 crores. Okay, and the government is saying that government will give this much of the interest rate to the investors. So these are the government securities or the government bonds through which the government can raise the money, So government securities, they were traded. So government securities, they are the securities of the government through which the government is raising the money. Now government securities are issued by the RBI. So RBI issues the government securities on behalf of government. Okay, so government securities were traded manually. The banks used to call the RBI or the RBI department, and the banks used to give the orders. So you can understand that it was a very hectic process and there were chances of having the mistake. Okay, so the government securities, the India's government securities were traded manually through telephone orders and physical paperwork. So there were many chances of making the mistake. While in the other world, what was happening, that the developed countries, the other developing countries, they already had the electronic system. So the other central banks of other countries used electronic system for managing the issuance of the government securities. So you can understand that RBI was lagging behind, and RBI said that we also need the system through which we can sell the government securities through the electronic manner rather than manual. Okay, so that's why the NDS originated. So NDS, this is the negotiated dealing system. This was implemented in 2002 by the Reserve Bank of India for the government securities especially. Okay, so the system improve transparency, increase overall efficiency, and lower the cost of selling the government securities. Now the NDS was initially used for the issuance of government securities by the RBI. So RBI used to issue the government securities through the negotiated dealing system, and through this system the banks, the other primary dealers and such, they can ask for the government securities or they can buy the government securities from RBI. So NDS was originally for the primary issuance. Okay, primary issuance, I hope you know primary market. The primary market is also known as the new issue market. So RBI issued the new government securities through this NDS system. Okay. Now, however, in August 2005, the Reserve Bank of India introduced the NDS-OM, that is the Negotiated Dealing System Order Matching, which was an electronic platform-based anonymous order matching trading system for dealing in government securities in secondary market. Secondary market where the investors are trading with themselves. Okay, so let's say SBI want to sell its government securities and HDFC Bank want to buy the government security. So the trade between the buyer and seller can happen through the NDS-OM platform in the electronic manner. So NDS-OM, which is an electronic platform-based anonymous order matching system, it deals in the government securities and secondary market. So NDS was started in 2002 for the primary issuance of the government securities by the RBI, but later on it was also for the secondary market, for the secondary issuance. Okay, I hope this is very much clear. Now coming to the next slide, that is NDS-OM. I hope you have got the background that the NDS-OM system was implemented to bring greater transparency and liquidity to secondary market transactions, so that the transactions, the liquid transactions can happen very fast. There is transparency and it is an anonymous order matching system, while simultaneously allowing members of the NDS, of the negotiated dealing system that are having the primary issuance, they can also sell the government securities in the secondary platform. So let's say one bank is buying the government security from the Reserve Bank of India and want to sell it later on, so they can easily, so they can buy the government securities through the NDS platform from the RBI and later on sell it at NDS-OM platform. Okay, so this is the idea. So negotiated dealing system order matching shall mean the electronic trading platform authorized by the Reserve Bank of India. So this is the basic idea about the NDS-OM. Any confusion in the NDS-OM? So this is the idea of the NDS-OM. Okay. I hope it is very much clear. Let's move ahead with the news article. So what is the news article? What is the notification of the Reserve Bank of India? So RBI has widened the direct access to the negotiated dealing system order matching electronic trading platform to a broader set of regulated entities. Now more entities will be able to join the negotiated dealing system order matching. More entities will be able to access the NDS-OM platform. That is the basic idea. So the access has been increased. So access first of all means that any person or entity eligible to invest in government securities directly or indirectly shall be eligible to access the NDS-OM either through direct access or through the indirect access. So what is this direct access? What is this indirect access? That has separate definitions given by the Reserve Bank of India. So the entities can access the NDS-OM directly or indirectly. So there are different definitions for that we have to understand. Okay. So direct access to NDS-OM, what is the guidelines for this? So the direct access shall mean access to NDS-OM directly, where the transactions are happening directly. If you want to sell the government securities, you can sell the government securities directly through the NDS-OM platform, and you can also report the transaction directly. Okay. So direct access shall mean access to NDS-OM where the entity that is party to a transaction directly executes and reports the transaction onto the platform, and such transactions are settled in its own subsidiary general ledger account. So what is subsidiary general ledger account? So government securities are largely issued as stocks. If you remember that the stocks, if you buy the shares, if you buy the bonds, if you buy any kind of instrument, financial instrument, so that is kept in the demat form by the depositories. Okay, so depositories, that is NSDL and CDSL, we have two depositories in our country. Okay, if you are buying any stock, any shares, any bond, if you are buying from the stock markets, from the NSE, from the BSE, if you are buying the stocks, the shares, the bonds, those shares you keep in the demat form, in the dematerialized form, in the electronic form, and these demat form of the shares is kept with the depositories, with the NDSL, CDSL or NSDL. Okay, So this is the idea. Now in the case of government securities, because RBI is handling everything, so government securities are largely issued as stocks only, and they are held in the demat form. They are held in the demat form, but they are held in the subsidiary general ledger account maintained in the books of RBI. So the shares and bonds that you are buying from the stock markets under the SEBI, so they are kept, the shares and bonds, they are kept in the demat form with the depositories, and you need to have a demat account, okay? But if we are talking about the government securities, they are kept in the demat form in the subsidiary general ledger account with the Reserve Bank of India, because government securities are under the RBI. So remember this very clearly, okay? Very important point, that SGL account is required to keep the securities, the government securities, in the demat form. Now who can have the direct access to NDS-OM? The banks, standalone primary dealers. The primary dealers are considered important in the government securities market. Non-banking financial companies, including housing finance companies. All India financial institutions. How many all India financial institutions do we have in our country? Do you remember? So do tell me, how many all India financial institutions do we have? Mutual funds, provident fund, pension fund, insurance companies, regulated market infrastructure institutions. Market infrastructure institutions are your stock exchanges, NSE and BSE, the depositories, that is NSDL and CDSL, and your clearing corporations, okay? So these are the market infrastructure institutions. So regulated market infrastructure institutions, they can also invest their settlement guarantee fund in government securities, okay? So stock exchanges, depositories and clearing corporation, okay? So these are the market infrastructure institutions. Yes, there are 5 all India financial institutions. They can also have direct access to NDS-OM, okay? So direct access to NDS-OM is provided to all of them, and they can have the SGL account with the Reserve Bank of India, where they can receive the government securities, okay, in the demat form. Now coming to the indirect, so requirements for seeking direct access. So first of all, what are the requirements for seeking direct access? Why only the direct access is given to them? So there are some requirements. So entities that are eligible to seek direct access to NDS-OM shall fulfill the following requirements. There are some requirements. First of all, SGL account with the Reserve Bank of India is mandatory, because if you have the direct access, that means, let's say a bank wants to buy the government securities from the RBI. So where the government securities will go? The government securities will be stored in SGL account. So if the bank want to have the direct access to the government securities, the bank must have a SGL account where the government securities will be kept in the demat form with the RBI, okay? So SGL account is a must. Next is current account with the RBI or a designated settlement bank. First of all, current account, so that, see, if the bank is buying the government securities, bank has to pay the money. If the bank is buying the government securities, bank has to pay the money. Here RBI is not required here, let's say, because we are talking about the secondary market. So bank is buying the government security from another bank, let's say. So bank is buying the government security from another bank, and the government security will go to the SGL account of this bank, okay? Now the bank A is selling the government security to the bank B. Bank B is buying the government security and is keeping the government security. The government security will go to the SGL account of bank B. Bank B from its current account will pay to the bank A, okay? So current account has to be maintained with the RBI or with the designated settlement banks. There are certain banks in our country that are designated settlement banks that can settle and clear the payments, okay? So in the secondary market, where the banks are trading with other banks, or banks are trading with other primary dealers, or banks are trading with other NBFCs in the government security, in that case first SGL account is required, because where the government security will go? In the SGL account. And current account is required either with the RBI or with the designated settlement bank, so that the settlement of payment can happen, okay? Membership of securities settlement segment. Now under the NDS-OM, remember this very clearly, that the CCIL is the one that do the complete settlement of the transaction, okay? So bank A is selling the government security to bank B, and bank B is paying the money to bank A. This whole process is happening through the CCIL. in the platform, in the NDS OM platform, the whole settlement is happening through the CCIL, that is Clearing Corporation of India Limited. So any bank, any primary dealer that want to have the direct access must have a membership of Securities Settlement Segment of Clearing Corporation of India Limited, so that the settlement can happen smoothly. So these are the 3 requirements that you have to remember from the exam point of view. Now the Reserve Bank of India may, after being satisfied that the applicant fulfill the eligibility criteria, has a SGL account, has a current account, has the membership of the CCIL settlement segment, grant direct access of the NDS OM. While granting access by the RBI can take additional information or seek any clarification, obtain any additional information or recommendation from regulators also, that this person that is the primary dealer, is it like working fine or not, is it creating any market abuse or so. Direct access to NDS OM granted to any entity is not transferable. It's not like that you can transfer your direct access to any other entity. You cannot do so. That is understandable that the direct access, if given to one entity, cannot be transferred to another entity directly. Okay. Next is how, if like the RBI thinks, the RBI can suspend or terminate the direct access to the NDS OM also. In case that the entity has ceased or stopped to be eligible for direct access, maybe the SGL account has been terminated or the current account has been terminated, so the eligibility criteria are not being met now. So the entity has ceased, stopped to be eligible for direct account, or violated a legal provision of the Reserve Bank of India. The entity has committed a market abuse or has done something wrong. The entity has violated any of the terms and conditions that was given by the Reserve Bank of India while giving direct access. So while giving the direct access, the RBI can also put some terms and conditions that you can only trade this much value of the government securities. If you violate that term and condition, your direct access can be stopped. Okay. The continuance of access is prejudicial to public interest or financial system of the country. So the decision of the Reserve Bank of India is full and final. If the if the RBI wants to give the direct access, the RBI can. If the RBI do not want to give the direct access, the RBI's decision is full and final. Okay. So this is the idea. Now coming to the next point, that's indirect access. Okay. So indirect access shall mean access to NDS OM wherein an entity undertakes its transactions through another entity that has a direct access to NDS OM. Let's say you are a person. Now you want to sell your government securities in the secondary market. Okay. Now you do not have a SGL account, you do not have a current account with RBI or the designated settlement bank. So you can go to a bank because the bank has SGL account, the bank has current account. So you are a customer of this bank. You are a customer of SBI. So you can ask SBI that on your behalf, the SBI can sell the government securities in the secondary market. Okay. So that is indirect access. The person ABC do not have the direct access. So the person ABC through any entity that has direct access can do the trade. So indirect access shall mean access to NDS OM wherein an entity undertake its transactions through another entity that has direct access to NDS OM. Now I do not have any direct access to NDS OM, but I have access to PNB, I am a customer of PNB, or I am a customer of SBI. If they have direct access to NDS OM, so me, that is Kritika, can go to my bank and can ask my bank for a small fee. The bank can do the transactions in the secondary market on my behalf. I hope this is clear. And which assumes responsibility for settlement of such transactions, and this entity that is having the direct access will also have the responsibility of doing the proper settlement on my behalf. Okay, so this is the idea. So this is the indirect access. Any person or entity eligible to invest in government securities, so even the retail investors are eligible to invest in government securities, they can also do the secondary transactions through the NDS OM. It is not an entity eligible for direct access. Now retail investors are eligible to invest in government securities or to trade the government securities in secondary market, but the retail investors like you and me, we do not have direct access to NDS OM. So we can have the indirect access through some bank, through some primary dealer and such. Okay. it does not satisfy the requirements. We do not satisfy the eligibility criteria. We do not have SGL account. We do not have current account. We are not the member of the securities settlement of CCIL. Okay, it is not granted direct access. Maybe some bank does not have SGL account or does not have a let's say a very small bank that has just started its business. It does not have a current account with RBI, or let's say it does not have the membership of securities segment with CCIL. So this small bank can connect with a big bank so that the small bank can have indirect access to NDS-OM through this big bank. Okay, so if some entity is not granted direct access till now, so they can also have the indirect access. So this is the basic idea of the direct and indirect access. I hope this is clear. Any confusion, anyone? Any confusion? See, NDS-OM, direct and indirect access. These are the 4 points that you must know about, because this is something static or something related to RBI. Okay, NDS is a very important system of RBI. The government securities trading is very important from RBI point of view. Okay, so you must have some static knowledge. No confusion, Monica? Very good. What about the others? What about the others? Okay, so we will see the questions. But before that, if you go to edutap.co.in, you can go to the EduTap's website where you can get the information about the exam, where you can get the information about the courses and such. So if you want to have the complete information about the exams, you can go to the free material. In the free material, you can read the blog so that you have the information about the examination. NDS-OM is developed by RBI. It is like RBI is the owner of the NDS-OM. Okay. So now if you want to read the blogs, you can read the blogs. At the end of the page, you can have the exam information about any of the examination. Let's say you are preparing for NABARD grade A or RBI grade B. So you can have the information about the RBI grade B, the components of RBI grade B and such. So the RBI grade B ESI syllabus and the different information is provided about the examination. Even if you want to know about the strategy, you can get the strategy in the website. So if you go to edutap.co.in, you can get the exam information, strategy, courses and such in the blog section, in the free material blog section. Okay. Even if you want to know about the courses of the RBI grade B or any courses you want to know about, so you can also see the courses available for you. Okay, with the off that is going on. So you can also see that how much of the off that is available. Okay, so you can know all about the courses and such. Now let's see some questions. So this is the first question. Try to answer this. This is the homework question. Okay, and you know that these kind of questions have been asked in the phase 1 as well as in the phase 2. Okay, so these kind of questions are relevant for phase 1 as well as for phase 2. Okay, now coming to the second question. So this is another question. I hope you will be easily able to answer this question also. So here you have to tell which of the following are the requirements of being eligible to seek direct access. So I hope you will be able to answer this question also. Okay, so these are the homework questions. I hope you will be able to answer the homework question. And this is it for today. Do give me the right answer of the 2 homework questions, and I hope you are enjoying the sessions. Now these sessions will continue till the 2025 examination, so that I will provide you a lot of static information, a lot of current affairs information, and these topics continuously remain in news. NDS-OM, you read it or you hear it every other day. Okay, so you must know about that, what is NDS-OM, when it originated and everything. So this is it from my end. Thank you everyone. Most welcome, Monica. Thank you everyone. Thank you for joining the session. Let's meet now on Tuesday. That is going to be my next session. So Tuesday, Thursday and Saturday, 10 AM, we will be meeting. Okay. You're most welcome everyone. Thank you for joining. Do give me the right answer.